In this section of the course, we're going to be working with Dirk and Rachel from How We Roll Kayaking, and they're going to take us through how you use a Greenland paddle to paddle forwards efficiently. Before we look at the techniques, it's important to understand the history of the Greenland paddle and its origins.
So to understand the Greenland paddle, we have to look at the origin. Greenland paddles were used by Inuit hunters to feed their families and to survive in harsh environments. So that's what really shaped these paddles. And they were used for the hunters to go out to hunt seals, and they need to be able to paddle long paddles during the day without getting too tired. Also, they need to be able to creep up on their prey very silently with a silent stroke to be able to hunt seals. And obviously, in these harsh environments, the water is very cold. So if there was a capsize, swimming was not an option. So they really had to develop efficient Greenland rolling to survive. So all these necessities have shaped the Greenland paddle as we see it today. And it's been a long selection process. So I find this really interesting. It's a really long process, and the product we see here is actually shaped by so many generations of Inuit paddlers.
So we're going to go through Greenland paddling, forward paddling technique. We're going to primarily focus on the canted stroke. There's a few different strokes that you can do with a Greenland paddle, but the canted stroke's a really popular and useful one for going really long distances and not getting overly tired. There's a couple of differences between the Euroblade forward paddling technique and the Greenland blade techniques. So we're going to go through some of those differences. It's primarily due to the physics of the paddle and what paddlers want to get out of their paddle stroke. So we're going to go through three different parts. We've got the catch, we've got the power, and then we've got the recovery phase. So we'll go through all of these and hopefully make your forward paddling stroke that little bit more efficient.
And because the paddle is very different to the Euroblade, we have to use it differently to get an efficient stroke. For the Euroblade, the power happens mostly in front of the body before we take the paddle at the hip out of the water. The Greenland paddle stroke is very different, where you actually put the paddle lightly with a slight angle, and we power then actually from the hip on by using our body rotation. This gives us a nice, smooth stroke pattern that's really easy on the joints, on the body, and gets us going a whole day. We paddle long distances.
So we're going to start off the course by looking at the catch phase of the stroke and understanding how we get the blade into the water before we start to move on to the power phase. There's a lot to cover in the power phase of the stroke, different ways in which we can use the paddle to generate speed or to cruise on a long journey. We're then going to look at the recovery phase of the stroke, where we're bringing the paddle out of the water and the different options we have here with the Greenland paddle. And then in the final lesson, we're going to be looking at some variations on the stroke, including the sliding stroke, as well as the wing stroke with a Greenland paddle. So let's get started and move on to the next lesson and look at the whole stroke.